My name is Jared Reimer. I'm with Elevations Real Estate, and I live in Fort Collins, Colorado. So I grew up here. Loveland is my hometown. I live in Fort Collins now. I took a little hiatus to go to college and then lived in Texas for a few years, but I made it back once I got married. Northern Colorado's always felt like home. It always feels like a place where the community, if you're looking for something, you can find it in Northern Colorado. So when I got married, we decided to move back here and kind of start up my real estate career.
My name is Barton, and I'm with the group Molded. So I graduated from the University of Wyoming, and back then we would cross the border because it was nicer, sunnier, less wind in Fort Collins. So we would come here for a lot of our playing. And then we moved away for a while, my family.
My name is Salz. I have been in real estate for 8 years now. My husband and I co-own Salz Home Solutions, which is a boutique brokerage based right here in Timden. We started with a boutique brokerage, and that was always the plan, to open our own brokerage, because so much of our heart lies in the education of home buying that we're like, well, shoot, let's actually teach folks how to make a career in this industry. So we're broker owners and we love it.
So my name is Schick. I live in Northern Colorado, actually a small little community called Milliken, and I own Remax Alliances here in Colorado. So in Colorado, we have a little under 800 people, and then we also have another sister company that we own up in Oregon, Washington, that has another 600 some odd people. I'm a lifelong Northern Colorado person. I went away to school back east for a small amount of time, but Colorado was home. So I came here, I went to high school here, went back east, and then I came back here, did undergraduate, graduate, postgraduate work all at CSU. I love Northern Colorado. It was my home and continues to be my home. Probably would be my home for the whole time.
My name is Andrea Tuell. I live in Windsor, Colorado, and I am with the group Real Estate. I'm a native. Both my husband and I are natives, which is rare these days. Yes, so I have never left Colorado, even for college. I went to Colorado State, so I am a Colorado lover for life.
I tell this story a lot. So I used to be an engineer, a structural engineer. And I remember one day specifically in my office, my boss, a great guy, but during breaks and lunch, he would read E&R magazine, which is Engineer News Record, which is like the dorkiest of magazines that you can read. And there was a point where I was like, I'm never going to love engineering as much as this guy. And if that's the route that I need to take, if I need to be reading Engineer News Record magazine, I don't know if that's for me. So started looking for other opportunities. I have a family member who lives in Boulder, and she's been a realtor for 35 years. She recommended real estate to me. She thought, just because of my background, she would always say like, oh, your smarts, they're going to get you far. So get into real estate and go from there. And this was in 2010. When real estate was not great. So a little bit naive, I jumped in with both feet and made it up to Northern Colorado and started real estate.
So when we moved here, I was shocked to know the high price of homes too. We were moving from Baltimore and we were living in the city, a great location, beautiful home. And I just figured, I'd forgotten from back in college how expensive real estate can be out here. So I remember moving here and having a bit of a chip on my shoulder that we're not actually in the mountains, we're by the mountains. So why is it this expensive? It's very brown. I was not looking for why everybody loved Fort Collins as much as they did and why the price of homes was that high. And then over those 2 years, it just hitting me in so many different ways. The money that the city and all of Northern Colorado puts into their communities, that you can't, go down the street without looking up and seeing the views of the mountains, that the wide bike lanes, all of the things. So it was this over a couple year process that I loved living here. I loved the home process of making it turning it from something that we were just tolerating into something that we loved and felt like was our home, that we would choose, compared to even homes in Baltimore that we were leaving, And then like I said, I thought that real estate was easier. I thought it was the flexibility of, I can go and show this house, here and there while the baby naps or something, which was a ridiculous idea. But fortunately enough, so that's why I got in. I knew that I'd be interested. I love looking at homes. I love the architecture, and I love working with people. And I always did in the previous healthcare job. Then realizing that it was much harder. It's flexible and not flexible in some different ways, but also really loving it. Loving the challenge, and that it's not as easy as I thought it was.
So my whole life, I've known that I wanted to work for myself. I was raised by two entrepreneurs for a long time. I felt like I would become a boutique owner or something like that. And I'm very grateful, particularly to have been raised by a working mom who signed the front of the checks. That was her phrase. I like to sign the front of the checks. And that I've always known a working mother, and it's something that I really appreciated about my relationship with her, and the way that she instilled in me that hard work matters. And not only that, but it pays off. So that's pretty tricky when you feel like you want to work for yourself, but I'm not an inventor. So what am I going to do? And couple that with this really intrinsic desire to help people. I am a helper through and through. If you're an Enneagram person, I am like a bleeding heart too. So I'm a helper, but blood really freaks me out, and I am not meant to work with kids. Let me say that again. Blood really freaks me out, and I am not meant to work with kids. So being a nurse or a teacher was kind of off the table. So how do I help people? Well, how do I work for myself? Okay, that led me down the line of pursuing a career in marriage and family therapy. So I was in grad school to become a marriage and family therapist, and 10 weeks into my first semester, my mom died in my arms. Suddenly, tragically, totally out of the blue, had a heart attack right in front of me. And she was 52, an Energizer bunny. It was the weirdest, most surprising thing that's ever happened to me, and a turning point in who I am as a person and who I am in my career. And so I'm very blessed to, through that experience, have been directed to real estate, because again, nobody could tell me when to show up. Nobody could tell me what to wear. And nobody could tell me that I wasn't helping people, because all of those things were true. I also need to mention that my dad is a realtor. So it was in my blood, if I can say that as well. So I found myself with my real estate license at the ripe old age of 24. And I'm really grateful that I didn't know how hard it was going to be, especially at such a young age. And what's been really cool is that as my audience has grown up, so have I. So I've had kids at the same time as some of my first clients. We bought our first houses. We bought our second houses. Some of us did it with equity that we gained during COVID, and some of us were able to make a really substantial move up. And so it's really fun to see the way that not only I have grown in my career, but the way that my clients' lives have continued to grow, and how we're still playing ball back and forth. It's pretty cool.
My story is a little bit of a fun one. So I was building houses with a business partner of mine. So we were two young guys trying to figure out how to make our way in this world. And we had sold a house, and we forgot to budget the price of our permit into our house, which is never a fun thing to miss. Well, lo and behold, the real estate broker at that time held both sides of the transaction. And I said, would you be willing to help us out a little bit? And that broker said, no, you guys have to learn. And we said, we absolutely agree. And I said, well, we'll see at closing. And so the realtor wasn't able to make closing. They had to go play golf up in Vail at the time. So I had to borrow money from my parents to drive to Vail, because I delivered their check up to them to say thank you for the closing. And at that point, I also said, I wanted to let you know I'm becoming the realtor of our company. So have a great day, and thank you. That person is still my friend in this business today. And he always reminds me, I helped make you. And I said, you sure did. It's a fun story. It's a fun story. Well, wasn't really fun for him because had he played his cards right, I would have never gotten into the real estate business. I would have putzed around, still working for what I was doing, and sell a few houses every year. Now I get sell a lot of houses every year.
Well, I got into real estate. It's just been my entire life. My dad was a commercial developer, broker, and CPA in Denver. And so growing up down there, we were always around apartment complexes that he was working on or office buildings, and would help out with painting and tenant finish or turning over, cleaning different apartments. So it's always been a part of my life. And then my brother got into commercial real estate in college. He was one of the youngest brokers at Realtech ever. And then when he was working there, he got me there working on marketing and doing different things while I was at CSU. And so then when I graduated CSU, I immediately started working in model homes in Denver with some builders that my dad had connections with. So I jumped right in and sat in the model homes. And then from there, I missed Northern Colorado. I love like the small, big town feel. I feel like it's very laid back up here. Everyone's really kind and easygoing. And I always say it just kind of pulls you in and you never want to leave. So I left and I came back. And then when I came back, I worked in some more model homes up here for other builders. And then I just felt like there were more families that I would be able to help if I got my license and was able to do more in all aspects of real estate, not just the new construction piece.
With the market being as it is, it could be bumpy, but we've got a great real estate culture in Northern Colorado. For anyone who's worked down in the Denver metro area, I'm sure plenty of us go show houses kind of in that area. It's a much different game. It's cutthroat, annoying. There's a lot of cockiness down there. There's a whole bunch going on in Denver metro that we don't have up here. We're cooperative. We play nice in the sandbox. And we are supportive of each other, and I hope that continues.
Northern Colorado, a lot of people like to think it's a bubble. It's not a bubble. It's been well preserved. It's mean people have priced stuff properly. We had controlled growth by most of our cities. They didn't just go crazy like so many cities did in 2008 when we couldn't support all of the houses being built. Every municipality was smart. There are some that are smarter than others. There are some real estate companies that do a phenomenal job at helping promote communities and stuff like that. But everything that we're seeing comes from the people who live in those communities. They're going to tell us, here's what we love about our community and stuff. And you take that and you just expand upon that. And you say, why did you choose to live here? So often the demographic of who buys the house is the person who currently lives in the house. And people love Northern Colorado. We have incredible schools. We have incredible environmental conditions. We have great ecological conditions. We have great, all of our police providers, ambulatory services, hospital systems, they're phenomenal. The grocery stores, we are blessed. People don't realize Northern Colorado is an oasis, but it was a planned oasis. A lot of the developers who've worked in this region spent countless decades making sure this was a great place to live because they saw a vision, whether it was the Everett Company or the McWhinneys or John Turner or Martin Lind or whoever it is. There were visions that were out there, and they expanded those visions to make great places for people to live, created great communities, and then to fill in with the businesses were awesome.
It is a hyper-local market in real estate right now, I think, in Northern Colorado. So looking in the same zip code used to be okay, that you could estimate what that value was going to be. You'd run comps, but you'd also just see, 80526 is on the up and up. Now it really is which neighborhood, because one might, be that the HOA, that you don't have an HOA somewhere. And in this price point, that the HOA matters because it's pricing people in or out of homes. And then some other neighborhoods, you're putting it on and you think you've really set the list price perfectly, and you have multiple offers still. So it is so hyper local.
Multiple things are the key to success. One is patience. It's a tough market right now for sellers. It's definitely more of a buyer's market. We're having to get really creative as sellers to get things to move, but it's also having somebody who is willing to do the work and to grind it out. Honestly, for all of my sellers, every week will pull data to see who has been showing in that price range the last week. They haven't shown this property. Why have they not shown? And I have, because I've been doing this for 21 years, have incredible relationships with agents. And I really pride myself on that because I love realtors. Like, we're a fun group of people. And so I reach out and I call and I try to generate traffic and not just let properties sit in the MLS. So you have to hustle right now, but I love hustling. So it's great.
When people of my parents' generation say, well, I bought a house at 13% in 1988. And it's like, okay, but house prices were like 210. So there is a lot of validity in the fact that homes and housing feels unaffordable. And quite frankly, it is. It is very expensive to live here. And what we've spoken about is that it's very special to live here. Just like how you're going to pay for it when you're living at the beach. You're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for the opportunity to be connected to this community, to be connected to the innovation, the nature, the opportunity to get out and play in this amazing corner of the world has a premium. With that being said, I think that we have been sorely misinformed on what home ownership should look like. It looks all glitzy and glamoury and like it should be a perfect focal point on your Instagram feed. When in reality, the coolest thing that you can do, in my opinion, is go buy something that isn't necessarily all Pinterest perfect. But guess what? You are now creating a real estate portfolio. And the only way to get that glitz, to get that glam, if you're not making $200,000, is to have a bargaining chip. And you cannot have a chip to trade in if you do not have a chip to start with. And that means starting with a chip that's maybe a little cracked, maybe a little discolored. Okay, better than having no chips. So I think we do have an affordability problem if that's the ones through which you want to look. I think that we also have a huge opportunity. I looked at the MLS yesterday and there are 13 opportunities in Fort Collins alone under 300,000. Okay, now we're talking. So I think it's a matter of what people want may not be attainable, but there is opportunity here. And that's a paradigm shift that I can't control.
The group teaches us a morning routine that they have felt like has been successful for so many agents that they teach this system to across the country. And so it starts with just gratitudes and affirmations, writing out your affirmations. And mine change maybe every month, but most of it is going to be focused on the consistency and what year goal, you have. So just to change a little bit of my mindset to stay in a let things happen as they come and not to have that like tight fist of control that we were talking about, just being a little type A. Then you're reviewing, you're looking at how you can schedule out, your day and your week. So part of that is scheduling time to read or listen to an audiobook that is a positive message coming in. So not to start with emails, not to start with any news bites. You're really just trying to set your own agenda at the start. And I like doing that over a cup of coffee.
I have a few things. I am a creature of habit, and then I'm also a rule follower. So if somebody tells me to do something, I will do it. And there are certain habits that I do every single day that I feel like is a part of the reason that I have been successful in real estate. So I definitely have all of my gratitudes that I say every day. I have an affirmation that I write down 25 times a day, and I try to never miss that. I do a lot of handwritten notes. I do a lot of random gifts to my clients. So it's a real grind always to continue with those habits because it's really easy to get out of them and it's really hard to stay in them. But I always want people to know that even if we're not in a transaction at that time, I still am always thinking about them and caring about them. And so it's important for me to stay really involved with my entire database. My affirmation is I am grateful to work with kind, grateful clients that in 2025, I have successfully closed X amount.
You know, you've got to get the, I think it's Niagara. No, there's special water, and then you've got to put like lemon, and then you got to jump in the pool.
Yeah.
And do all that. No. Face ice bath. I mean, I've tried all the biohacking things.
Okay.
But really, my daily routine, I tell people it's the same every day, but different. The best part about real estate is, in general, you get to kind of design what your day and your weeks look like. Now, you have things that pop in and pop out all the time, but being flexible is key. My mornings are pretty mellow, and that's intentional. It used to be that I would journal, I would read, I would, get my mind right. But over time, I kind of have distilled that down into, I wake up, I do my old man back stretches. I'm in my 40s now, so back stretching is very important. I take my dog on a walk, and that's important. It's kind of a clear my head kind of thing. And then I have a good breakfast. I think it's important for realtors because of the stress and because of the go, take care of yourself first, and then you can take care of your family and the clients. So first half of my day is kind of take care of myself, and then I get going into whether it's keeping up with clients, sending them listings if they're buyers, or following up with my sellers to, keep them updated on my marketing efforts and things like that.
I am a get up early kind of guy. So my mornings start about 4 a.m. every day. I have a devotional time. I'm a prayer. I believe in the fact of having time with God. I'm not embarrassed to say it. Actually, I've enjoyed saying it. After I have my time with God, I go out and do a cold plunge. The cold plunge is something new in my life because I'm really trying to do a good job of getting my body in shape, blood sugars in shape. You get a little older, your body fights back. Well, I'm finding out that the body can be tricked into thinking it's younger. Cold plunge, and then I get to my office usually about 5 to 5:45 every day. I work until about 4 in the offices, or going and seeing clients, and then I do personal stuff, whether it's stop-bys, seeing my friends, going over to some of my favorite watering holes and visiting with the real estate community and stuff like that. But we're very active in civic organizations as well. So each day I try to make sure I've done something for myself, done something to honor God, and something to help somebody else in the world.
When I gave birth to my first son, I had this moment because they no longer call it a birth plan. They call it birth preferences. And as a mom and an entrepreneur, that is the way that I approach my days. I'm like, what are my prioritized preferences? Because with 2 little boys and a whole slew of clients and a husband whom I love, who I also work with, it seems like fires that come up out of nowhere. And I am the one that has to manage them. So what's interesting is that as much as I would love to have a daily schedule and a daily routine, that is just not within my capacity. I'm not sure it ever will be because of the nature of this industry. There are a couple prioritized preferences that I try to stick to every single day. I am so keen on the actual relationships that can be built in this business. I'm so grateful. As I mentioned, my dad was a realtor for over 35 years. And I have chosen aunties and uncles who once started as his clients. And it's really special to me that I am now in the position, I now have the deep honor of creating those types of relationships. But that doesn't just happen. And it takes work. And so I sit down and I do my texts, I write my letters, I send my Instagram messages, because that is the real meat and potatoes of this business. That's also the real core of who I am as a person. And why the heck do anything if you can't infuse your own oomph into it? And so I really try to prioritize what brings me joy as Lauren and what I know the people in my universe really appreciate about me. And without sounding totally full of myself, I think that that's hearing how special they are to me. So I do drop those little love notes very often?
I would say there's a couple that stick out. I was like year 2, so fresh, little young thing, and getting going. And thankfully, my dad did refer people to me when I was first getting started, and he still does, but he's out of the business. He's retired. So it's like not that anymore. But he had a client that he helped sell a really large acreage to Boulder County. And he then needed to 1031 a few $1 million back in 2007 into different real estate. And so it was lovely. He connected me. And so it was fantastic. Like year 2 in the business, I helped him purchase a like large acreage farm for a couple $1 million. And as a 25-year-old, that was really exciting. And it was fun. I learned so much about water, about land, it was an incredible learning experience. So I felt like that helped me really get into more acreage properties and know a lot more about water and early on, like septics and wells and all of those things that is a whole different animal than just selling a house in a subdivision.
Well, I haven't always been the cat lover I am today. So we went into a house. Always liked animals, so I don't want to imply didn't like animals. Walked into a house that we collectively called the cat house. Didn't know why till I got there. They had 17 cats. It was in a rural area, but they were all in the house when we were showing. So it was an incredible house to show because everywhere you turned, there was a remnant of a cat, whether it was their toy box, or their litter box. And so we were like, wow, this probably won't work. Ended up selling it to these people because they had a love of cats. And so it worked out great. Nobody else in the world could have bought this house. It worked perfectly. But we were in sheer shock when we first got there. And I was watching the buyer because you can tell their level of interest. If the arms are crossed, there's no interest. If the arms are in front of them, there's interest. If they're engaging with questions, the whole time we were there, we were talking about the cats. I'm like, well, this might actually work out. They bought the cat house. Lived there still. That was 17 years ago. They only have 4 cats now at that house. Well, this is going to be a little colorful. I don't know that it'll make the video, but we were showing a house. And when we go to show a house, it's always traditional. You knock on the door, you ring the door. Well, rang the doorbell. Tenant didn't come. We thought they were gone. Tenant was there. We're like, oh, gracious. Tenant had a guest. The guest and the tenant were busy. And I don't know how to convey that any more properly, but we ended up actually selling that house too. The buyers were just such cool people. I was mortified. I thought I was going to have a stroke. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is this really happening? But that was my, oh my gosh, Dennis story. And I'm sharing it, but everybody worked out just great. I was bright red the whole time.
I was thinking about this for a while. The lucky thing is, I don't know if it's who I am or how I run my business, but I don't attract a lot of weirdos with weird requests. I think that, and I mean, there are all sorts of things out there. I've never really I've shoveled people's driveways for them because they're out of state and we've got showings, but that wasn't a weird request. I just went and did it. This was a listing of a woman that had just found me online. We had a good rapport. Everything was good. She was listing her house and I got a home warranty on it just in case anything popped up. And lo and behold, we were under contract. After the inspection, she was cleaning her oven. It welded her oven door closed, and she's like, "All right, you got that home warranty?" And I was like, "Yep." And I said, "It's a $75 service fee for them to come and swap everything out." And she's like, "All right, pay for that for me, and it'd be cool." And it wasn't a big deal, but it was just a little bit strange that I don't know. I don't have a lot of great stories as far as weird requests go, so that was the first one that popped up. It was just weird that I covered, her ass with a $1,500 range, but she wanted me to pay the $75 for it. So
One really cringeworthy experience was I was showing a home near campus in Fort Collins. I believe the property manager had 2 homes right next to each other because they both had the same lockbox code. So let's say this is 123 Main Street and this is 125 Main Street. Well, my showing was for 125 and I'm talking to my client and I'm, doing my thing, bit-bopping in. And the listing sign is here, but I walk into this house, to this stoop. There's a lockbox on the door. I punch in the code, go right in, no problem. Knock, knock, knock. Hello. Nobody answers. We're walking around this house and all of a sudden this half-dressed college student comes out of his room and is like, what are you doing in my house? And I'm like, I'm showing this gentleman your home that's on the market. My house is not on the market. You need to leave. Thank goodness I wasn't hurt. Because that is just all I can imagine is my mother saying, Lauren Marie, I cannot believe you did that. But such is life.
The first house that my wife and I bought, we were like going to war over $1,000. It was $300 or $301, and we were going to walk if they didn't. It was, looking back on that, our poor agent too. He was just like, I don't get it, you guys. This is like your house. And it was our house. And we were getting so fixated on, well, no, he needs to come down. He should come down, using those kinds of words. I'm so embarrassed to say that out loud. But yes, so I get it. I get that feeling, but you could be giving up what should be your house. It's on the cul-de-sac. It's got the beautiful lot. Like, you're buying it for all the reasons why you want that home. And you're going to give it up because a seller, who we have no idea what their situation is. It could be a little old lady that is, I don't know, going out of her mind. I mean, it could be that, or it could be, a total asshole that is saying no, whatever the story. Like, sometimes we want to make up this story, but we really don't know what they're thinking. So just keep it to you. Our, both of the real estate agents, because they knew that we were all so ridiculous, they ended up putting in $500 a piece to say, we just need to get this thing done. And so then we ended up giving him $500 a tip or whatever, because we didn't know whether we were supposed to tip or not. This is East Coast. I think everybody tips big everywhere, but or for everything. But I don't even know what I would do if I was in that same situation. I certainly would not throw in $500 because you can't get out of your own way. Like, that would blow my mind at this point. But at that point, we would have terminated. I mean, I just cannot believe it.
Her mom, that's my thing. They're like everything to me. Sorry. You can edit this part. It's so sweet. Jason and Tamara were actually there the first. So I had a really long journey to become a mom. And it was about, I went through IVF 4 different times. I was pregnant 5 times, and we have 2 little miracles. So they are the greatest thing, and I would do all of it. That's why I work so hard, is 1 for them, but 2 to pay for all the IVF. And then my husband, he's just an unbelievable, incredible husband, but watching him be a dad is like the greatest gift. Tamara and Jason were eating at a restaurant. It's one of my best friend's restaurants, Norimaki, and we went in to tell. It's so good. So we went in to tell our best friend that we were pregnant, and they happened to be sitting there. And we told him, and he started screaming and crying. And they were like, "What's going on?" They're like, "Andrea, did you just say that you're pregnant?" And then they walked over, and they were drinking with my husband and John and all of them, and they were all celebrating. And it was like the sweetest thing. It was just so random, but it's a really hard balance. There is a serious amount of mom guilt, but I am very proud of what I do, especially because not my little 4-year-old, and I'm sure it will change a lot, but she is like, "Mom, I'm gonna sell real estate when I'm older." And I'm like, "I love you. Like, you don't need to do, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do that? Like, you love dogs. Let's talk that. But it just makes me like the fact that they see how hard I'm working and they know that I'm doing it because I love them and they can see that I love it. So that's something that they would want to do. Makes me really proud.
When I first got into real estate, I was kind of a figure it out all on your own kind of guy. And to some extent, I am still that, but lean on other people's experience. The biggest issue I had was recreating the wheel every time I wanted to do something new, create a new system for my business, and not knowing if that was even something that would be viable or worthwhile. So even just having a group, not even an accountability group, but just people that are on your same level to understand what they're doing when they're struggling, I think is really important. But then going up a level, talking to the people who have been there and done that before and what worked for them. And every agent's different. You know, there are some agents that just love open houses. They find all their clients because they've got this great personality. They can get their hooks in them real easily. That ain't me. I have a different personality as far as that goes. But I think if I were to give my younger self any sort of advice, it would be necessarily get a mentor, but just ask questions. Don't think that you need to do it all on your own. People are willing to help.
I love to talk about what would my older self say to my younger self if I could go back in time. There is a song that said, "Things can only get better." It is a fantastic way to look at life. Sometimes you're going to be in the doldrums. Sometimes you're going to fall down. There's going to be the 2008s that almost wipe you out financially. You will rise again. As long as you have the persona and have the wherewithal to say, I fell down 10 times, but I got up 11. You will win. You will overcome anything in your way. Nothing can hold you back. The only person that will ever hold you back is you. So don't let you hold you back. So younger self, don't let me hold you back, because older self says thank you.
I did get a lot of really great advice. Like some of the advice that I would give to any new agent is do not get tied to the outcome. You know, we'll start rooting for something that maybe isn't the best way forward because we're tied to that outcome. And I guess the advice that I didn't have that I would give to my younger self is to, just because the process is solid and handed to you doesn't mean that it didn't come at a lot of learning from other people. So you do not have to reinvent the wheel or tweak anything. It's not about like the flashy new stuff. It really is about, do you know what you're doing? Do you know that contract? And do you have the same process every time? Then it just makes it calm. You're able to see things clearly. You're not all jacked up. You're able to just approach the situation with the skill set to move the thing forward.
It takes a lot of vulnerability to succeed in this business. There are a lot of things that you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. There's just a lot of vulnerability when it comes to this industry and putting yourself out there and creating connections, going to networking events. That is not optional. Going to networking events, putting yourself out there, being vulnerable in who you are and the service that you have to offer, that is not optional. You have to put yourself out there in order to succeed. And I think the only person who is fearful of you looking dumb is your own self. Your friends, your neighbors, your community members, the other people in your Facebook groups don't care about you looking dumb. All they see is you, quite frankly, coming in and going out. And the amount of times that you can come in and go out with authenticity, with ease, that is what creates success. And I wish I was a little easier on myself in my younger years of, girlfriend, just put yourself out there. Good things will happen.
Like, find your passion and what connects you to people. And then also, like, work, grind it out, hustle, do everything that you need to do to be present and in front of people. So when I say find your passion, when I started, I am very blessed to come from a very giving family. My parents are amazing and I've grew up always going to different nonprofit and charity events. And so when I was first getting in, I was 23 and I didn't know how to build a database of people that trusted me being so young. So I did what I grew up in, and I would go to a bunch of charity events, and you would always see the same people that would constantly give back to the community at the same events. And then you start to meet everybody. And so it was really amazing to be surrounded by like-minded people that started to become my database, that was my passion. And so I say, find your passion. If it's some kind of sports, or if it's working out, or if it's road biking, or if it's art or yoga, whatever it is, find your thing and then build your people around that.
What's been great about Northern Colorado is really for the last 30, 35, 40 years, it's always been a great place to raise a family. That brought a bunch of people here in the 90s. It's always been a great place to retire. Always on those magazines and website lists of top places for these things.
We in Northern Colorado have homes for people, and we have great homes, and we've never had these massive class action lawsuits against bad builders. We have good builders in Northern Colorado. We have great inspectors in Northern Colorado. We have great realtors in Northern Colorado. We have great job opportunity in Northern Colorado.
It definitely, even just driving up from Denver to Northern Colorado is a totally different vibe. And it's so special up here. I have never been in a place where, I've traveled quite a bit, but you feel it up here, how much everybody loves the community. And you even just see it in all of our restaurants. It's all of the mom and pop restaurants that everybody wants to support local. You feel it in the community giving. It is an incredibly philanthropic community, and I'm really proud to live here and be a part of that.
It really is nice to work with a huge team across Northern Colorado that is interested in helping people get, it's a phrase that we use at the group, but I love it, from the life you have to the life you dream about. And that can look like so many different things, and there's so many different options and beautiful spaces. So it feels awesome that my values, the things that I've been talking about, seem to be everywhere. So many great agents, sales reps, community people.
That's an amazing part of living in Northern Colorado, but you can get to other thoroughfares very quickly. The biggest and most wonderful surprise, though, was how Timnitz truly has its own personality, its own opportunities, and this real idea that we take care of ourselves first.
It's just quality of life. I like to tell people who think that Northern Colorado is expensive, I say, people will pay money to live where it is nice to live. Southern California, it's 75 degrees all the time. You only have to deal with, wildfires and earthquakes every once in a while, but you might run into a celebrity. It's a great place to live. That's why it's expensive to live there. Vail, Aspen, great place to live. That's why it's expensive to live there. I can name, I'm not going to disparage all these cities and things like that, but, go to Cleveland. What's Cleveland got? Did you know that they're rivers are on fire sometimes, and it's the Rust Belt.
Some of the job opportunities that have come. And so that's another way the market has changed. The hospital systems, whether it's UC Health or Banner, CSU, UNC, the governments, they are all growing. And a lot of the companies, the companies that we were of yesteryear, Eastman, Kodak, and Hewlett Packard, they are still out there and they're still providing jobs.
There's always things. And Windsor has so many farmers markets and live concerts and just events all the time. And so do all of the other communities around here, and I feel like that's what makes it really special. We always have something to do. People care about each other, and I always say it's this small big town, so you can run into people if you want to, or you can go on a date and it can just be you two, and it's a really special and unique place like that.
As somebody who went to CSU and who went away simply to understand how truly special it is here, and now I truly believe that Northern Colorado is one of the greatest romances of my life. I love this area of the universe, and anyone who's lucky enough to find themselves living here, I think truly understands and appreciates how special it is.
To be honest, all the clients that are wanting to move here, they've got a very specific reason. They've got a great job and they want a great place to live, or they don't have a great job, but they know they can find one. And in the meantime, they're going to be out at Horsetooth mountain biking, or running along the trails, or just enjoying the breweries, or enjoying all the restaurants and the music that we have around here. So I don't think you can beat Northern Colorado.
I'll make a little pitch for my friends at Landmark here. I know this is not a video that was designed to be Landmark. I had a fun story. I have been friends with the ownership of Landmark for 25 years. We have seen the ups and we've seen the downs. We have built a lot of houses together, sold a lot of houses together. They build a fantastic product. There's a lot of builders that do a great job, but having those relationships matter. When people say, why do you do this? I said, because it matters. Why am I doing this video? Because it matters. I got an opportunity a few years ago to sell 8 Landmark homes to an investor, and we split them up and stuff like that. It was an incredible journey that we were able to do together, and it was a lot of fun, and it was fun to bring that particular investor to them. But we've had a great relationship, and I come back to that word because a relationship matters, whether it's your relationship with God, your wife, your husband, whoever it might be, your kids, your colleagues, your peers. Your relationships matter. And if you always make sure that they felt like you genuinely cared, it's going to matter to both sides.
And then I'm also honestly really grateful to all of you. Like, I love Landmark Homes, and I've bought a Landmark home as an investment property. I live in a house that Landmark Homes used to live in. I have sold one of your super fun Rock the Block houses. I believe in your company. I think you guys do an incredible job quality-wise, and you do amazing things in our community. So it's awesome.
As far as real estate goes into the future, I really hope that Northern Colorado stays as attractive as it is. The difficult thing is affordability, and we have to tackle that affordability piece, whether it's creating more supply. Of course, interest rates coming down would be great. If someone could just turn that interest rate dial down, it'd be great. But I think Northern Colorado is in a great spot. It's always going to be attractive, and it's a great place to be.